Okay everybody, so on with the lesson about trapping. So at Idaho Gopher Control, we don't trap very much, but when we do trap, we use this trap right here. This is called a DK1 trap, or some people call it a death clutch trap. It works very well, and I'm going to show you how to set it and talk to you a little bit about how to place it in the tunnel. But setting this, you got to kind of learn, and with any trap, you're going to have to learn how to set it. But with this particular trap, you're going to have to exercise some dexterity to set it, but it works very well, and that's the reason why it may be more difficult to set. So the first thing we're going to do with this trap is we're going to set the trigger mechanism, and that is this rod coming off right here. And what we're going to do is, if you can see, it makes kind of a figure 8 right down here at the bottom with a little hook. And we're going to loop it over, loop the rod over, so that hook attaches over this tine on this side, and then we're going to slide it over and press this down right against the spring right here with our left thumb. If you're right-handed, you'll do it, or excuse me, if you're left-handed, you'll do it in the opposite way. But with our left thumb, we're holding this rod down right over the spring, and then we take our trigger and we slide it over the rod like so. Now this is not set yet, this is not dangerous yet, but now we have to set the spring. So what we're going to do is we're going to really get our palm on this rod right here and hold it tight with our thumb against it like that. And we're going to grab this, keeping our fingers free of this area. And we're going to wrap it around. And that's where it takes a little bit of dexterity, but you can see after you do it a few times, you get good at it. Now that has just put the tension on the spring. So now we have to set the trigger. So keeping our fingers well away from the part that traps and closes, we will push the trigger up, slide the trigger back along the spring until it's almost ready to deploy or to be struck, and then close the trap. Now the idea is that we're going to set this in the tunnel, which we'll show in a later video, where the gopher will come along, walk through these tines, hit the trigger, and when the gopher hits the trigger, it snaps shut like that, and it wraps around the gopher's body like a really big and really tight bear hug, and that's what kills and traps the gopher. So we'll discuss how to set that in the tunnel in a later video, but let's go through setting this one more time. So again, you get this set with this as wide as possible here, and then you pull this rod, the little figure 8 goes over the tines that trap the gopher right there. You hold the rod down on the spring with your left thumb, pull the trigger mechanism up and over the spring, slide it along the spring and over the rod. And once that is set, now it's time to set the spring, and that's when the trap becomes dangerous. So you've got your palm down here, your thumb against it here, you're holding it very tight, you wrap it around, keeping your fingers away from the mechanism that's going to grab the gopher. Once you do that, keeping your fingers away from that mechanism, you slide the trigger back on the spring until it's right near the end, so you can set up a very, very sensitive trigger. And then of course the gopher is going to travel through the tines. When they hit the trigger, it snaps shut on them, grabs them and holds them, and that exterminates the gopher and eliminates your problem.